When you hear Microsoft, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Windows. The operating system that's been on millions of computers for decades. Most people assume that's Microsoft's biggest moneymaker. After all, almost every PC uses Windows, so that must be where the billions come from, right? Not even close. In fact, if Windows disappeared tomorrow, Microsoft would still be one of the richest companies on Earth. Because behind the familiar blue logo is a business empire most people never notice. An empire that makes money from things you probably use every single day, without even realizing Microsoft is behind them. Let's find out how Microsoft actually makes money. Chapter 1. The Windows Illusion. For decades, Windows made Microsoft famous. Back in the 1990s and early 2000s, almost every computer came with Windows already installed. Whenever companies like Dell, HP, Lenovo, or Asus sold a new PC, they paid Microsoft for a Windows license. Multiply that by hundreds of millions of computers, and Microsoft made billions. It was one of the greatest business models ever created. People didn't buy Windows separately. It was simply already there. And because almost everyone used Windows, software companies built their programs for Windows first. That attracted more users, which attracted even more software. A cycle that made Microsoft unstoppable. But here's the surprising part. As the internet grew and smartphones took over, Windows became less important than ever before. People weren't spending all day inside Windows anymore. They were spending time in apps, websites, cloud services, streaming platforms. Microsoft knew something had to change. So instead of protecting Windows, they quietly built something much, much bigger. Chapter 2. The Business Subscription Machine. Think about the last time you opened Word, or Excel, or PowerPoint. You probably didn't buy them forever. Instead, you pay every month, or every year. Welcome to Microsoft 365. Years ago, people bought Microsoft Office once. One payment. Done. That sounds great for customers, but terrible for predictable income. So Microsoft completely changed the model. Instead of selling software, they started renting it. Now millions of students, families, small businesses, and giant corporations pay subscription fees every single month. That means Microsoft doesn't need to convince customers to buy Office again every few years. The money keeps coming in automatically, and Microsoft didn't stop there. Microsoft Teams, OneDrive, Outlook, SharePoint, all work together inside the same subscription. Once a company starts using Microsoft's ecosystem, leaving becomes incredibly difficult. Employees know the software. Files are stored there. Meetings happen there. Everything is connected. The longer customers stay, the more valuable they become. And that steady stream of subscriptions brings in enormous amounts of money. But surprisingly, this still isn't Microsoft's biggest business. Not even close. Chapter 3. The Invisible Giant Behind the Internet. Imagine watching Netflix, playing Minecraft, using ChatGPT, shopping online, or storing photos in the cloud. What if I told you, many of those services rely on Microsoft's computers? Not your computer, Microsoft's. This is called cloud computing. Instead of companies buying thousands of expensive servers, they rent computing power from Microsoft. Microsoft owns massive data centers around the world, buildings filled with hundreds of thousands of computers. Companies simply pay to use them. Need more storage? Pay Microsoft. Need faster computing? Pay Microsoft. Need AI servers? Pay Microsoft. This business is called Azure, and most people have never even heard of it. But Azure has become one of the biggest cloud platforms in the world. Every second, businesses are paying Microsoft to run websites, store data, power apps, train AI, and handle millions of users. Think of it like electricity. You don't build your own power plant. You just pay for the electricity you use. Companies do the same thing with computing. Instead of building giant server farms, they rent Microsoft's. And because businesses depend on these systems every single day, the payments never really stop. Which means Microsoft's biggest customers aren't regular people. They're businesses, thousands of them, maybe millions. But Microsoft wasn't finished expanding. They wanted something even bigger. Chapter 4. Buying the future. Microsoft doesn't always build new businesses. Sometimes, it simply buys them. In 2016, Microsoft bought LinkedIn, the world's biggest professional networking platform. Millions of people use it to find jobs, recruit employees, and grow businesses. Companies pay to advertise. Recruiters pay to search for talent. Professionals pay for premium features, and Microsoft earns money from all of it. Then came another massive purchase, GitHub, the place where millions of programmers build software. Developers around the world rely on it every day. Microsoft now provides premium tools, business services, and AI features for developers. Then came gaming. Microsoft bought companies behind huge franchises, including the company that created Minecraft, and later, one of the biggest gaming companies in history. Why spend tens of billions buying other companies? Because successful businesses already have millions of loyal users. Instead of starting from zero, Microsoft instantly becomes part of their daily lives. Every acquisition creates new ways to earn money: subscriptions, advertising, game sales, cloud services, developer tools. The empire keeps growing. But there's one final piece that ties everything together. Chapter 5. Microsoft's secret strategy. Here's the real secret. Microsoft doesn't want to sell you one product. It wants to become part of your entire digital life. You use Windows, then Office. You save files in OneDrive, join meetings on Teams. Companies run their apps on Azure. Developers build software on GitHub. Professionals use LinkedIn. Gamers play Minecraft. Everything connects. Every service strengthens the next one. This is called an ecosystem. And ecosystems are incredibly powerful because once people rely on multiple Microsoft products, leaving becomes difficult. Businesses don't just buy software. They build entire operations around Microsoft. That's why Microsoft keeps earning money year after year. Not because of one famous product, but because thousands of businesses, millions of workers, developers, students, and gamers depend on Microsoft services every single day. So yes, Windows made Microsoft famous. But it isn't what makes Microsoft one of the richest companies in the world anymore. Today, the real money comes from subscriptions, cloud computing, business software, gaming, developer tools, and an ecosystem that quietly powers a huge part of the modern internet. The next time you see the Windows logo, remember, you're only looking at the smallest piece of a much bigger empire.